Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on Wits and Brains. I am Casey, and I have the wonderful Miss Catherine Barton with me again. And it is episode 22 of Wits and Brains. So we want to know, are you the pimple popper of your business?
So gross.
It's very gross, but we don't
But
mean, are you going around like popping people's pimples? Because that'll get you a sexual harassment case.
right, do not take our advice today. This is
No.
do not. The thing is, pimples. It's a problem.
Yes.
It's a real problem. So do you go around fixing problems?
Well, I know many people who don't. This is so gross. Like, I don't even want to relate to this, but I'm going to. Thankfully, I have been blessed with a clear face. However, when I was a child and I did not have such a clear face, I was one of those people where I was like, this thing has to go.
Right.
And thankfully, metaphorically, I have carried that into my business. And if there's a problem, I take care of it before it gets huge, like one of those lipomas that's like on their shoulder in Dr. Pimple Popper for like 15 years.
Well, what was that cartoon that the kid had the thing on his face? Oh my God.
I have no
I don't know
idea.
if anybody remembers, but it was like a cartoon like 1,000 years ago. But the kid had the boil on his face, and it would move when he talked.
Okay, that's disgusting. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, that's going to irritate me the entire day. So someone needs to take care of that problem. And when you own the small business, you have to face the ugly stuff and take care of it. And if you don't, it festers.
And it grows and it multiplies.
And then everyone starts to notice it. Look what we're doing here, Casey. Look what we're doing here. People start to notice your problem, but you're ignoring it. So now they think you're extra weak.
And irresponsible.
Irresponsible.
If you watched our last episode, you know what we're talking about.
That's right. So you've got the problem, you're ignoring it. Now everyone sees the problem, you're still ignoring it. Pop the pimple. Pop it.
So, you know how, I swear, you know how when you are like you feel a pimple come on and this is so disgusting, and you're like, oh my gosh, this thing is like the size of Mount Rushmore. But it's really not.
Yeah.
Well, in business, when you feel like it's the size of Mount Rushmore, go ahead and nip it in the bud before it turns into Mount Rushmore.
Right, because it will turn into Mount Rushmore.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
So what do you think are signs that you have a pimple forming in your business?
It hurts.
Okay. That's a very good sign.
The pimple hurts, but the problem in the business hurts. It's uncomfortable, and everybody keeps looking around, but they don't want to stare at your pimple. They don't want to stare at it.
What? I see your pimple.
We've been at all-time low here at Wits and Brains.
Thank God I didn't have a pimple on my forehead before I got that.
I know. So, okay, so it's going to hurt. There's something in your business that is not feeling right. So do not ignore it. You need to look at it, delve deep, put some heat on it, and get rid of that pimple. Get rid of that problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are your skincare tips for the day.
We would appreciate all of our dermatologists in the group
Yes.
to, give us some extra info to share with the people that love us and we love back. So when you have a problem and you're ignoring it, I'll tell you what else it does. It doesn't just like the people are going to notice it, but it also gets bigger, but it also will like stay with you and scar you when you forget about it.
I see what you did there.
This is the most clever thing we have ever put together. The weirdest, but the most clever.
I would agree with that.
So what happens when your business has a scar? It's impossible to heal now. And it's hard. We've talked about reputations and stuff like that. When you have that pimple scar and you can never heal from it again, you're going to try to cover it up. I mean, I have been a champion with concealer in my life. And I'll tell you what, it's still there. When you wash your face at night, when you go to bed at night and you're thinking about your business, that problem is still there.
Yeah. And okay, so we're going to go into like all the things now. So I have a client who deals with people who have acne and scarring and all this stuff. So when you said the concealer, I was like, oh, that's just like the pimple's there, I can conceal it. Or the scar is there, I can conceal it. However, what some people don't realize, and we're going to get real gross here, so we're going to go beyond pimples. So, and Dr. Pimple Popper, she she'll cut the skin and get the lipoma out. But what does she have to do to actually get rid of the lipoma? She has to remove the sac, or otherwise it's going to keep on coming back. So in your business, if you don't truly address the core, think of the sac, like what is keeping all this stuff together and allowing it to fester, you're going to have the same problem. And you might not see it on the surface, like lipomas, goodness gracious, lipomas do grow beneath sometimes, but eventually it's going to run out of room. So it is going to start to come above and you're going to have to cut it. Then you might go to extremes like microneedling or intense pulse light therapy or all these things to get rid of that blemish, when really if you would have addressed the issue from the beginning and got rid of what was beneath, you wouldn't have those issues. You wouldn't be spending thousands of dollars on all the things to fix the aftermath. So be proactive. Get rid of your lipoma sac. I can't believe I just said that.
Did you ever think that would be in a sentence ever in your life?
No. Not at all.
I'm sitting here with my mouth hanging open in awe of how smart this conversation became.
It really is. And we didn't plan this, folks. We just start talking.
This is how we talk. Wow.
Yes.
Hire us today.
So Catherine, what are some of the most common lipomas or pimples that you see in business?
Right away, what pops into my head is...
Pops, was that intentional?
Oh my God, I did that one without even thinking. I'm so impressed with myself. Hang on, everybody. That's so good. All right. What pops into my head is right away, some of the problems that people ignore or they do not give their workers the resources they need. Oh my gosh. And they think if they just ignore it, they won't need it anymore. I'm just letting you know, people out in the business world, they need things like office supplies. They need the right equipment. Yes, they do. And it's like, I will see leaders or businesses ignoring that. Pop the dang pimple and get them what they need to succeed. I used to be 1,000 years ago, a custodian, a janitor. Lovely job. Could you just give me some
Like
latex gloves? Give me the latex gloves. I mean, it was the stupidest thing. Of course, I'm not going to touch anything if I can't have my gloves. I like worked in a big organization. So, like the simplest things, quit ignoring it, take care of it, and people can get their job done right. And then you'll look like the leader of the world. Another thing people ignore is harassment. They ignore harassment.
You want to talk about festering.
Talk about festering and talk about, I just read an article on sabotage. And one of the main points of why people sabotage is they're so unhappy because they've been harassed. And then, of course, they'll end up the criminal because, they've had a crappy time here at this business. And then it turns into, oh, I need to get people back, and it's revenge and sabotage. And then that's a criminal act. So that's not good. But maybe if it wasn't ignored in the beginning, not everybody has the same language at work. Mm-hmm. Well, quit ignoring that. Quit ignoring that.
Yeah.
So there's tons of stuff. There's so much injustice in the corporate world, and people are ignoring it.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that comes to mind for me is processes. And I used to hate that as like a new business owner. I'm like, right now I just got to get things done. Okay. I'm not worried about all these processes. Yeah. And then I like matured and realized that, hey, if you want your business to grow, you really got to put some things in place. And one of the things that we focus on is putting systems in place to make sure marketing, sales, and service are all on the same page. And if you don't do that, you'll have spreadsheets for days, and that pimple will get bigger and bigger until it bursts. Like you don't even have to pop it.
In your face. In your face.
But yes, like do the things right. Like I forget what the saying is, but it's like, or actually you might know this statistic since you're like the statistic queen. It's something about like if you don't do it right the first time, it takes you 6 times.
I've heard that
time or something. Yeah, to actually go back and do it. Don't quote me on that, but something of that nature. So
I'm going to quote you. Casey said it takes 6 times. Everybody listen.
I'll take responsibility for that. Just in case you were wondering. I have no issue with taking responsibility for my God.
Well, after this conversation we had this week, I mean, I don't think too much holds us back.
No, I would have to agree.
I do love the actual visual though, because if that makes people pay attention to the problems in their business, I am all for it.
Maybe on this week's episode, instead of putting our faces, we should just put a big pimple in the middle of the
big pimple.
That's disgusting.
I
can't have to make sure I send this to my teammate Erin, because she is absolutely disgusted by anything skin related. And I'll be like, you have to listen to this. Like,
good leadership.
Yeah.
I love that we went a little gross, because ignoring the problems is gross.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. So you talked about nothing holding us back. So speaking of holding, next week we're going to be talking about making sure that you lift those girls up. So lift them up, hold them up, strap them up, whatever you have to do, but make sure they're supported. So thank you for today. Join us next week. If you don't have girls to hold up, we'll make sure make sure men are included in this conversation.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
All right. We're going to lift them.
Yes. Lift them up. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us.